job, right?
Tax officer's wife, did I hear you say she really got
He told me last night that she was bad, that he was having to bring people in to do bathing, and that was it.
well, I get that. But I mean,
I was doing Thanksgiving. She was pretty bad.
but they're having problems hospitals.
No.
No. Makes me cry. I'm sorry.
I took my dad on vacation every day for 6 months. Same people are sitting there.
Shelley won't be here. We don't see any emergency.
Okay, then it's us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If I would take their seat, we'll move forward. It is now 5:40 in the evening. I'd like to call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting, Tuesday, December 6th, 2011 at 6:40 in the evening, 790 Homestead Boulevard. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick.
Here.
Councilman Maldonado, absent. Councilman Shelley, absent. Councilwoman Woolman.
Here.
Councilman Williams, absent. Vice Mayor Burgess.
Here.
Mayor Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, first item, additions, deletions, deferrals, and it looks like we have one addition here. Discussion of relay sports. Is that an addition?
Yes.
So a motion to move that on?
Move it.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All right. Well, you want to move on that one now right off the bat?
Please.
Okay.
Mr. Ruiz is here and is prepared to make a presentation.
Okay. Sounds good. Staff report.
Mr. Ruiz has made a request of the council. Mr. Ruiz, please feel free to.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. The reason for the appearance today is to discuss the insurance issue, and I want to clarify exactly what transpired. Originally, when we took over the Homestead complex, we only had first like a 30-day temporary license to improve the premises, and at that point in time, we provided the city with the insurance requirements, which were the liability insurance requirements, both general liability as well as workers' compensation. I believe it was about 90 days later or thereabouts when we actually signed the lease, and probably through oversight, more of our entity than the city itself, we failed to realize that there was a property damage component to it, which came to my attention somewhere around 45 days ago when our insurance agent indicated that I guess a sister company of my insurance agent insures the city, and therefore they provided me with that information. And that's the first time that I became aware that there was an issue with the insurance. Some of the staff for LA Sports came and tried to speak with Priscilla, and I think we tried to find out and get to the heart of the exact issue. So at this point in time, what our request is, because we are in the process of getting different quotes from Scottsdale and different companies, is that we be allowed to commence with that insurance requirement as of the beginning of the year. The city has already covered that portion of it. In addition to that, we've seen a substantial number of unforeseen expenses at the complex, including some roofing repairs, which cost almost $100,000, which we weren't contemplating. So we've spent probably $300,000 to $400,000 more than what we anticipated when we first went in there. And obviously, I don't think that the city knew or we at LA Sports knew in detail everything that would be uncovered. We had, and I'm not complaining by just mentioning exactly what we did, a number of the irrigation systems had been fractured at different locations. So all that was not only time consuming, so we weren't able to really get the complex up and running the way that we wanted it to run during the summertime. We've made a great progress there. I think that both LA and the city have worked together fabulously, not only at the July 4th event, but the Halloween event. So at this point in time, that's the request that we're making, so that we can commence with this property damage portion of it starting January 2nd, because I think January 1st, unless we're able to bind it before January 2nd, or the first weekday of the following year, which I don't have a calendar here with me, so that would be the request that LaLey Sports is making.
Yes, the council.
Here, my microphone. I just really want to thank you very much, John, for all that you've done. I mean, we were newly engaged in business when you stepped in with the Cinco de Mayo, and I don't think there's a price tag for John Cicada and all the sound system and the joy you brought to all the...
There was.
Well, I know there was, but I don't know the price tag. I'm just saying you just have done so much, and with 4th of July, once again, we called on you for sound and stage, and you've always stepped up to the plate, and I knew my girl was expensive, and I'll never forget that night when I said she's expensive, and again, not making any excuses for the repairs, but I was driving somebody by there the other day, and they said, God, how beautiful that is, what a difference it made. And even my mother, who's in her 80s, who, bless her heart, sometimes can't remember what she ordered for dinner, but I mean, she comments on that every time she comes out of her complex at Centergate. So, in my opinion, I think the city should be a little benevolent and help you out there, and I just wanted to tell the public just how much you've really done. I mean, you're making it sound light. You've really done a lot.
Well, we appreciate that, and I want to kind of bring the city up to speed. I mean, we're still losing over $100,000 a month there.
Oh, no.
We have a lot of things that are up and coming, and everything's rolling in the right direction. So I think by next year, we'll reach the goals. We knew that we were going to be losing money when we first got to the complex. Just yesterday, the Dade County School Board approved us for the next presentation, which is January 4th, and we believe that our entity stands in the best position to get the Dade County School Board contract to air all sporting events in all Dade County schools. And I think that in and of itself will bring a lot of schools to the complex. We did sign a contract with Univision. Fox Sports is in the process of signing an agreement with us as well. On December 16th, which the city has a boxer, so I would ask all the council members, the mayor, and anybody else that wants to go, we're going to have a substantial number of Hall of Fame baseball players, which I think the city as a whole, with its residents and citizens, we're going to have Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr., Hank Aaron. We will have some other players like Louis Tian, Johnny Bench. I don't know if you guys watch baseball. These are super old timers. This has never been done before. We were
I even know
fortunate
he was
enough.
a catcher.
He was. Very good one, too.
Thank you.
And Darrell Evans, which played with Hank Aaron, is actually part of the LaLey Sports entity now, and we're bringing a lot of Venezuelans here. So there's going to be a lot of tourism coming to the city because of this. Right now, before the 16th, we're going to have 30 of the top Venezuelan players coming to the sports complex and training out of the sports complex. So the reality is that we are very happy to be here. And, you know, the city, as I said before, has been extremely good with our entity. I think we've worked fabulously with everybody in the city. I mean, we have absolutely no complaints. I still remember the mayor asking me at one point in time, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, I hope, Mr. Ruiz, that everything you're saying about what's going to happen is true. And I think the only thing I can say is that I think that we have lived up to our promise in delivering what we've said. I know it's, you know, words are cheap, and anybody can stand up here and say a lot of things, but, you know, from April through today, I think that our entity, and I don't give myself credit, but, you know, people like Kiki, Enrique Fernandez, and the people that run the complex here every day, you know, have integrated very well with the city. And I think that when things like this happen, just like we'll try to help the city out whenever we can, we're asking the city to help us in this type of a situation.
Yes.
No, Mayor, I just wanted to say that I have no problem in helping them. We all knew it was a big undertaking when they came down here and took this project upon them. And if we need to help them a little bit, I think as good neighbors back and forth, then I have no problem in helping them for a while either.
Thank you. I concur. I think you've done a yeoman's job. above and beyond what I thought you would be done at this point in the game. No pun intended. In the game, yeah. But I believe you've done a good job. I have no problem. I say that I turn to the manager and to the attorney. I know you spoke with John, right? And you feel comfortable first year they're going to comply with what we need, right?
You know, in terms of the decision before you, it's a pure business decision for the council as to whether you want to extend that date. I would like to know the date that we should put in the...
It would be the first weekday of the next year.
of January.
Yes.
That gives you plenty of time?
Yes, I think we're very close to being able to bind coverage. We just have a couple of different options. And for example, like I said, Scottsdale Insurance, they have to, inspect the property and so forth, so that gives us plenty of time.
Okay. Okay. January 2nd's the date. I just know the first week of the new year is a hectic week.
Well, we're going to get it done before the end of the year, so this is just, to give it a starting point, and that way it'll be the beginning of the year.
Then I guess, is it direction for manager to move forward, or do you want to
As long as
motion?
we get the direction, that's fine.
Direction, you got foreheads nodding?
Actually, it is a little amendment to the lease, so I'd like to have a motion authorizing us to amend the...
So moved, Mayor.
No, but I mean, it's a motion to move ahead to the council meeting to extend this.
But we'd need direction to extend, because we extended up till today, so we'd need, beyond that, we just need them to say it's okay.
Right.
But we'd need
It's okay, and then
consensus.
the item will be on the agenda to actually amend that.
You can carry it forward really under the consent agenda, really, and I think you got 4 people here saying yes, and I concur, and I think...
Thank you.
So no motion?
Okay. So it'll move forward to the consent, correct?
So what we'll take as direction is that the extension will
January
be
2nd.
fine, and meanwhile, we'll come back to you with a lease amendment to the council meeting.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you, John.
Okay, so
January
I couldn't hear.
January 2nd.
You're all set.
So are you going to send me an amendment so that we can execute?
We're just going to memorialize what the council has just done.
Perfect.
And we don't need his consent.
No, we'll just send you a letter once the council approves it, just authorizing the extension.
Perfect. All right, thank you, and if I don't see each and every one of you, happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Committee of the Whole, let's see, the minutes of October 11th, 2011. Motion to move it on.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, tab 2. Tab 3. Let's see. Tab 2. That's 3, yeah. Okay. Motion to place car 318 on council agenda, RFP 201121, janitorial services.
I'll move car 318.
Second, Mayor.
Okay. Staff report?
Mayor, the Procurement and Contract Services Division issued a RFP to solicit for janitorial services. The city sent notices to 405 vendors, of which 11 responses were received. The evaluation committee, composed of city staff, reviewed all proposals, and Best Janitorial and Supplies, Inc. was the highest-ranked proposer with 448 points, with pricing at $54,960 annually. It is staff's recommendations the mayor and city council award RFP number 201121 janitorial services to Best Janitorial Supplies for a 1-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options for citywide janitorial services.
Okay. Questions? I got a question. Richard, and I called you today, and I know I missed you. You called me back. How does the 15% preferential treatment play into an RFQ when you're requesting qualifications and dollar amount? How did you write it, or how did we write it so that it not only plays into dollar amount, but it plays into the qualification part of it? Because I look at these 11, and there's only one from Homestead. And the one from Homestead's dollar amount is very, very, very close to the one you selected. So somebody talk to me.
Give me a minute. Let me look at the code, and I'll maybe defer this item, and I'll a little bit later in the agenda, and I'll look at the code.
Okay. We'll pass on that, tab 3. Tab 4, motion to place car 329 on council agenda, Southwest 328th Street right-of-way acquisitions.
I move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, staff report.
Mayor, this is, it's staff's recommendation to Mayor and Council approve the attached easement agreement between Dion Commercial Properties LLC, Teal Point Apartments, New Aquarius Corporation, and the City of Homestead, authorizing city manager to execute said agreements. Exhibit 1 outlines the purchase prices for each one of the properties in question. And Julio is here if you have any additional questions.
Yeah, any questions? I have one.
Just one, sure.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Is this all of the acquisitions that we're going to need to get this project going and up?
No, there's going to be some additional properties that are going to be coming up later on. These first 3, we need to move on these right away because we have to do some work prior to the county starting their work. So we want to make sure that this area that is being impacted by moving of the electrical poles, that we do that up front. So that's why we're bringing these up first. Probably within the next 2 council meetings, we'll bring the rest of the properties on board.
And give me the start date again.
The start date,
Of the county?
the county is still, they still haven't put it out to bid. So more than likely, and again, I'm just trying to guess at when they're going to put it out. But the idea is to start construction sometime in June or so, which means that they would have to put it out to bid in March, around that time.
And it's...
So that's what they're trying to get at.
You can jump in there. I give you something more scarier than that. And that is I serve on the MPO board, and it's on the agenda tomorrow, or Thursday, for discussion, and I have no idea why. So that's why I've asked both of you to attend with me, because why would it be on the MPO agenda this late in the game if we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's? Because the last time this rumbling came up, the suggestion was to flip it to the Florida City side. So I mean, I'm going Thursday with an open mind, but I'm here today with no cameras saying, what's going on? Or have you heard anything that I should know?
I haven't heard anything from the MPO. I do think what the meeting tomorrow, what they're going to bring up is for that future project to go west of Chrome along Lucy Street. But it doesn't affect this one at all.
I know, but I have to tell you, the last time you said that, I received a letter that said that there was a possibility of us losing our west side of the project to Florida City.
Well,
so I wrote a letter, real quick,
Yeah, I
to
remember, yeah.
Wallace. He said, "Oh, Mayor, don't worry, I'm not interested. We're not interested. If you got all your ducks in a row," this is what he said to me in the phone.
Yeah.
If you got all your ducks in a row, then we'll drop it. But we understand that you don't have your acquisitions in line, and that's why the commissioner wanted to flip it, because he doesn't want to lose the money. Now this is what came back to me. I'm telling both. That's why I've asked both of you to attend with me. So both of you are sitting in the audience. If it comes up, three against
Absolutely.
the whole chamber is better than one against the whole chamber, you know?
No, I remember that conversation we had, and that was at that meeting where they first brought that up, and that's when I actually became a little worried about it as well, and that's when I spoke to you about it, telling you that, hey, there's something going on here that doesn't sound right.
It's not cooking.
But after, you wrote that letter, they backed off completely off of that, so.
But it's on the agenda for Thursday. It still bothers me. There's no reason for it to be, and it's an item that I've called about, and it's discussion. So if they tomorrow ask me how many acquisitions we have, it's going to be nice to have you there, because I'm going to actually invite you up to the microphone and have you tell them how many acquisitions we have. We have 3 tonight.
And these were the troubled ones, so the other ones shouldn't be an issue at all.
Well, these are commercial ones, right?
Yeah, all 3 of these are commercial, yeah.
Does that finish us with the commercial?
I believe so. There's one open lot that's owned by a church
entity, that's the only one, but they have no issue with us whatsoever. They want the road to be built tomorrow if it could, so.
No, I agree. I hear you, but it's such little things trip it up sometimes. What about the one resident that when we go from 5,000 to 70,000? Have we worked something out with them?
That's the one that, yeah, they're looking for $17,000 for their property, and we're still working with them, but I think we'll be able, I mean, if worse comes to worse, we can go to other options, you know, that we have out there. We're trying to negotiate a fair price for it, and I have some good ideas, even redesigning the road in his property basically to make it work, because it's really 4 square feet that we're talking about, and we can probably make it work so that those 4 square feet stay outside of his,
Yeah, 4 square feet.
4 square feet.
Village neighbors. But that does me good to see this here tonight, because I'll actually take a copy of this with me, so that I can say, look, we've already, you know, we've got 3 of the major players done, because stranger things have happened up there. I can tell you.
We'll be there.
We'll give, Julio can put a call into his contacts over there as well, just to see if we can get anything.
Just tell them how excited we are, and we've put 3 of them under our belt, and the rest of them on the way.
Sure.
Okay.
Mayor, can I ask you a question?
Sure, please.
So we're talking about the 162nd to US 1 Phase 2, correct?
Correct. This entails that portion from 162 to US 1.
Well, good luck Thursday, all of you.
3 will be down by here. Down by your house.
So it'll mean,
Okay, any further questions from council? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving to tab 5, motion to place card 323 on council agenda, CDGB program.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, staff.
Mayor, the City of Homestead became eligible to receive direct funding from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development in 2008 when the city's population reached 50,000. The Community Development Block Grant Program Manual is intended to provide information for use by the citizens of Homestead and subrecipients in the management of their CDBG projects. It is the staff's recommendation that the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the City Manager to take any and all action necessary to implement the CDBG Program Manual.
Questions, comments, council?
I have a question.
Sure, please.
Through the mayor. My question is, for this fiscal year, how are we implementing the CDB block grant? And then I have a follow-up question.
Good evening. Nancy Phillips and Associates. For the fiscal year that we're currently in right now, our projects have been identified to do I&I inflow and infiltration. We're also funding 2 nonprofits, the Homestead Soup Kitchen and the American Red Cross. And those are the projects that were identified in this year's action plan.
I have a follow-up. Who identified these particular projects?
Good question.
The city staff, we worked with city staff to develop projects, and we also held public hearings to receive citizens' input on these.
Did you receive any citizens' input?
We had a public meeting and we got more input regarding the process to go through for the nonprofits to submit their applications.
Okay, because as I read through the application and I'm looking at the eligible activities, I see some of the activities include public facilities and improvements. Does that include schools?
Shouldn't include schools. I don't think that it would include schools because CDBG activities are basically geared towards low to moderate income people, and we have had discussions before with HUD regarding charter schools, and at that time they indicated to us that it would be very difficult to document the eligibility to comply with the LMI requirements.
What if the school is within an economically depressed area where 99% of the students are on free and reduced lunch?
We would probably have to discuss that further individually with you to see if it could qualify. An action plan is developed every year, and so beginning in the first quarter of next year, next calendar year, is when they'd be developing the action plan for 2012-13 projects.
What we can do, Councilwoman, is we can bring back to you at a Cal meeting some options and also research the issue that you referenced so that we can work with you to develop a program for this year before they go to the public hearing stage.
Okay, one final question and/or comment. In reading on, I see additional eligible service activities include education programs and recreational activities, and I am aware that this past summer we didn't have our summer camp due to, I say, unforeseen circumstances. Mr. Maytan, is this something that you are potentially interested in, using these funds to help defray the cost for education programs and recreation activities?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilwoman, Ms. McCormick, yes, sure, that would be good to do that for us. On the funds for the recreational, you said?
Yes, and education programs, very important.
Correct. We can use that for our recreational programs that we do have, coming up.
And just, I promise this is my final comment. Next year, when this plan is developed and programs are identified, if I can be a part of that discussion, I greatly appreciate it.
Let me kind of piggyback on that a little bit. Tell me, where did the Red Cross play into this at? And what division of the Red Cross? And is it a Red Cross station that's here in Homestead that we're spending our dollars on?
The Red Cross submitted an application through the nonprofit solicitation that was done, and it is the Red Cross. We went to their facility. It's right up here by the Homestead Housing Authority, and they provide hurricane kits to Homestead residents that are low and moderate income. And this particular program for next year that they're going to target are people with special needs and the elderly.
What percentage of that CDGB grant went to them?
We're giving them, if I'm not mistaken, it's $15,000. You get $723,000.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
2%. Okay, any further questions on tab 5? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, we're prepared to go back to the other item if you'd like to.
Okay. Can everybody flip back to page 2? Is it tab 3, page 2? Motion to place cart 318 on the council agenda, RFP 201121 janitorial services. We already had the motion in a second. At this point, staff report. My question was, how does the RFQ process play into our preferential treatment for local businesses?
Okay. The way it works is that if a non-local business submits the low bid, which it did in this case, or low price, and a local business is within 15% of that, then that local business is given an opportunity to match that low price. I've been advised by Mr. Estrada, and he has the numbers, that the local business in this case was outside of the 15% by about $300-400 a month?
That is correct.
By about $300-400 per month, and therefore our local he was outside the 15%, and therefore the local preference ordinance does not come into play.
$300 or $400 per month, or $300 or $400
Per month.
per month?
Yeah, it was, Jerry, what are the numbers?
It's a month.
3 or 4, and the lowest quotation came in at, or the vendor that was given the award came in at $4,580, and the local company is coming in at $5,500
I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. $79. Okay, and I think it's important to point out that in an RFP, there's multiple categories which the vendors are ranked in. So the way we're handling RFPs for local vendor preference is if this individual was within the 15%, he would be given the opportunity to match that lowest price, and in that qualification, he would have gotten the maximum number of points for that category. Okay? So that's how we handle RFPs.
It doesn't apply in this case, but with an RFP, you have quality, references, other things, and they get points on each category. So the way they're applying the local preferences in the price category, if they're within the 15%.
I understand that part. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted-
It's the RFQ part, the qualification part. They're going to give them max points.
If they're within the 15% and they match.
For the price, not for the qualifications, not for the responsiveness, not for the references and performance. Those are separate categories, and, we can't just say you got maximum points for qualification. If the company's not qualified, we really can't do that. The ordinance says that they're allowed to match that lowest price. And that category is where we give them the opportunity to match the price and get the lowest points.
But in this particular case, they're outside the 15%, so it doesn't apply.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you questions to the manager. How often, and maybe you haven't had the opportunity because you're fairly new, how often do you plan on rotating these selection committees? I see the selection committee, I read the names, all great, acceptable people, but don't you think we should rotate them from time to time?
Yes, I do, and that was the plan. And Jerry, I guess you can better answer what our plan is in terms of rotation.
Absolutely. Before, the way the process was handled was that the department putting out the solicitation was making the recommendations for the review committee. So what we've started doing after we implemented our new processes in procurement is that the department goes ahead and has one individual from their department sit on the review committee, and procurement makes the recommendation for the other individuals on the review committee. Obviously, we work with the departments hand in hand, making sure these individuals are qualified to go ahead and sit on the review committees. Absolutely. It's not always the same group of persons. I believe Ms. Santana was the first time she's actually sat on a review committee. So literally we look at directors, managers, supervisors, people in those categories.
Excellent. One last question, and through the manager to you, Jerry. What, again, for the record, for me, so I know it's in here, but so I don't have to dig through it, what was the difference between the points of the lowest bidder, the bidder you selected, the most qualified bidder, and the local bidder, and the qualification points?
In terms of the points for the vendor, by the way, the vendor that was selected was not the lowest bidder. Okay, his price, he came in like $300 for the total extent of the agreement for the year, about $300 higher. Okay, the second lowest came in, which was best janitorial, and he came in with a score of 90 points. The company we're talking about right now, Call My Maid, they came in with 67 points. Now, we ran a scenario because the gentleman from Call My Maid did contact procurement, and we ran a scenario giving them the maximum number of points for that review committee member for all three categories. Obviously, for price, we could not. The price is the price. It's a mathematical formula. It's based on average. We give them the maximum number of points, and that moved them from position number 9 on the list of 11 vendors to position number 7. He still had 6 other vendors that received a higher ranking than he did. Okay. Even giving him the maximum number of points in each of the 3 of the 4 categories.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, any further questions? Yes, sir, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Michael Miko. I'm one of the part owners of Call My Maid. You see me around town doing other things, but we do own a cleaning service. The issue that we had with this from the outset, we brought to Mr. Maldonado's attention. The day of the touring, where all the vendors were invited to come out and tour the facilities to see exactly how, what the work detail would be involved. we had concerns with that. And the concerns we had were that the incumbent, at some point, we had to ask if this incumbent was interested in rebidding for the contract. And the reason for this statement was that there was too much of a coziness between staff of the Homestead and the incumbent. They rode in the same vehicle to all the sites, which everyone that was from outside of the city commented on it and said pretty much, well, doesn't look like we stand a chance on this. Now, I don't know exactly how we're going to do this to have full transparency or disclosure or make those that come in from outside, I'm not referring to ourselves, understand that it is a fair bidding process. I cannot see how the perception could be that when you have staff members riding in the same vehicle as someone who is bidding on a contract that everyone else is. We brought it to Mr. Maldonado's attention. We weren't comfortable with the idea of what took place, but we stayed with the program. The next thing in mind, we tried to follow through initially, and we started calling somewhere back in June to see when they would advise us when the bids were being opened. We called and called and was eventually pretty much told, don't call back, we will contact you. So which was fine, but we were eager to find out what we could do to get involved in some part of the business that's in our community. By chance, we called and was told that the bidding process was already open, and we had to kind of hustle to get our act together and our numbers together to make the deadline, which we did. We did the financials, we went out, we bought insurance, we put the bond in at a cost of about $4,800 to us. We still didn't think that this whole thing was being handled fairly. I still have a bad feeling in my belly about it, and usually I'm right with this. I'm not saying that the heads of the departments are at fault, but there's something that's very wavery about this. I looked at I'll tell you in a second. I looked at the evaluation criteria, and my call had gone in primarily because we were graded, or we were graded or evaluated in all of these categories. There were 5 members. Out of 5 members, some of them graded us as high as a 20 in the category. There's one particular member that graded us in a category that we were graded as high as a 20, graded us a 2.5. There was another category that we were graded as high as a 16, that member graded us a 2. And there was another category that we were graded as a 22.5, and that same member graded us as a 5. Now, I can understand if this is subject to interpretation, but when you have something as contractors' past performance and the information that we get from our clients, which all came back as excellent, superb, or outstanding. There is no way you could grade us as a 2 when there are other members grading us as a 22.5. Here's what I'm saying. I'm part of this community, and I'm not here to belittle anyone or make anyone to cause anyone any discomfort. But if we're going to have a system that has true transparency and it works for all, and if we do have some kind of an edge as a local business, we would like to see that works for us in our favor. I truly don't think that this was, as it's said to be, a process that was fair and with the discipline of what we saw, the things that we saw taking place in the beginning all the way through. And you can go back there. Everyone that came here signed in. It would be easy to come up with some kind of a, is this what he's saying true or not, by calling all the vendors that were here that day. And I can assure you, one gentleman handed his business card to the incumbent and said, well, look, if you're going to look for someone to work in this area, I would be willing to do it for you. This is while we were doing the tours. Not comfortable with the idea, and once again, that's my piece on it. And
This is what these are.
May I respond to the gentleman?
Wow. Looking at that rate sheet, I cannot believe that.
May I respond, sir?
That is incredible. Did you see that rating sheet, Mr. Manager? 18 and 20 and 25s across the board and 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. What's the deal?
Mr. Estrada has a response.
Whoa. I'm not sure I want to hear it. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Who was the firm that rode with the city staff? Are you telling me Best Janitorial Supply
No.
Company that got the job rode
No,
with them?
these are the folks that ended up in the number 2 slot. And these were the incumbent, and their pricing was, and I'm going to just tell you this, for their pricing was, they were actually, I think, the lowest bidder. They were the lowest bidder, but here is my issue with this. People, cleaning companies clean on the square footage. That's how it's calculated, unless you know something that someone else doesn't know. They cleaned on the square footage last year at the same price that they quoted on this year. The square footage was increased because they found that it was faulty in 4 of the locations. The square footage was increased by approximately 5,500 square feet. Now, the only way you can come up with the same pricing is if you know something that I don't know. Because you can't clean, let's say, for instance, 100,000 square feet at $5,000, and then somebody comes back and say, well, it's 110,000 square feet, and I'm still going to clean it for the same $5,000. It doesn't make any sense. So something here doesn't add up for me. If you look at what they cleaned at last year and what they're cleaned and what they're quoted at this year, the amended square footage for 4 different locations within the city was increased because apparently there was a mistake and there was an oversight. So some of the locations that were quoted to being 1,500 square feet ended up being 3,000 square feet. When you added them straight across the board, there's about a 5,000 square foot, somewhere approximately, increase. And at the same time, they still bidded the same amount of money that they did in the past. So, I mean, I'm not belly aching. I'll go on and do my thing, but I'm telling you, as a member of this community, it doesn't sit well with me.
Doesn't look well, I tell you. Okay, the manager, Mr. Estrada, let's hear it.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Like the gentleman mentioned, the incumbent did not win the solicitation. That's the first point. Okay, even though they were the lowest bidder, the review committee had issues with their past performance, and they were not selected. As to the score that the gentleman is talking about, yes, he received low scores from one of the review committee members. Now remember, the review committee members or the review committee process is subjective. Okay, each member of the committee is given a copy of the proposal from each of the vendors. They take it home, they read them, and then they come back and actually score on the score sheets individually. They don't sit in a group, they don't discuss it, they themselves review each group and go ahead and do the scoring. This particular review committee member, in terms of her notes on her committee sheet, I have an email here from procurement that they actually took a look at this committee member's recommendation, basically stated that the vendor was missing a title page, signed addendums, performance survey, and licenses. And so this review committee member saw that as sufficient to give the vendor the low score. Now, the reason we have 5 review committee members on this, on the review committee, the purpose of that is to offset one individual totally skewing the process. Okay? And I believe it actually did that. And the reason I believe that is when we give the gentleman the full scores on the 3 other qualifications, not the price. Remember, the price is an actual mathematical formula that's used. Lowest vendor gets maximum points, and then everybody else gets a percentage of their price, of the lowest price, to determine what their point score is. So there's no question of that. But when we gave this gentleman's company the maximum points for the 3 categories, it moved them from position number 9 to position number 7. 6 other companies ranked higher than he did, and I think the proof is in the pudding. If you look the current company, the incumbent, was not the one that was selected. So I'll definitely contact procurement and talk to the staff to see if somebody actually rode with the incumbent vendor. It may be something as innocent as they're familiar with all the locations in the city, and they rode with them, or not. But in any case, I will go ahead and speak to procurement about that.
Anything further, sir?
No. I listened and I understood what you said. The items that were apparently missing from the package, they were seen by the other people, the other folks that were evaluating. So if that was the case, all I'm saying to you is this: look, if we're going to do this and we're going to do it so it has the appearance of full disclosure and transparency. The folks that came in that day were not from the city. I live here. The impression that they had was that this was basically all wrong from the get-go. So we don't know what information was given. We don't know what information was passed, if any was given and if any was passed. But the perception is one's reality. The perception at that time was that maybe anything that we sent in or what we sent in probably was not being handled in the best way. And that's all I'm saying to you.
Once again, all I can say is that the incumbent was not selected. In fact, this is a new company. I believe we've never used them before.
Okay. I tell you what bothers me about it. Not the process here. I can't change the process. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry you feel the way you feel. But I can't change what's happened here. But I do ask my council members to think about the second part of this, and that is the 2 one-year options to allow this company to go on and on again. We've never done that. I voted it down in the past. I've turned it around in the past couple of years. Do not put something before me that that's going to be repeated 2 years in a row. Everybody deserves a chance every year to bid. So I ask my council tonight to not allow the additional 2 years to go along with this, because it's not right. It's not fair. It's not fair to our locals, and I know you guys hear me sit up here every meeting there's a local before us fighting for locals. I do not think that we should lock in one company for 3 years. I think it's a mistake on both sides.
Okay. Mayor will be more than happy to do that. Obviously, we don't have an issue with that. The only reason that's usually done, and once again, once we're given the permission to renew the agreement for two consecutive years if we want to, doesn't mean we have to. Okay? The reason that's done is to lock in pricing. Okay, so basically, the vendor can't raise his price. Doesn't matter what the cost of the equipment is or whatever, or cleaning fluids or towels or whatever they need to do, they can't come back to us and say, hey, by the way, I'm going to raise my prices. It locks them into prices. But we'll be more than happy to do whatever the council wants regarding this matter.
But I think that when you bring competitive bidding in every year, you're going to avoid what you just said. Competition's you're not going to have to worry about that vendor who you're trying to lock in at that rate, because competition's going to fix that. If you allow good competition every year, 10 new people. You said there was 11 people. 11 new people will come back, or the same people will come back and say, you know, I made a mistake last year. I'm going to figure out how to do it this year right. And I won't get a 2.5 because I left the sheet off somewhere. I won't get this, or I won't get that. But I think it's only fair to our citizens and our companies, the companies that reside here in Homestead, to allow them to bid every year. Yes.
Thank you. To the manager, I would like to make sure if what happened with an employee riding around with an applicant, that never happens again. If an employee doesn't know where the spots are in the city, then somebody else that's qualified needs to drive around and make sure that the people go. That, in my eyes, is just not acceptable. It does show favoritism, whether it happened or not, in my eyes, and perception is 99% of the job, and we all know that when we're working with the public. That perception is bad, so let's make sure that practice never happens again. Sure. Secondly, I think I spoke about this when we had our meetings about the new procurement things. When we have a big discrepancy like this, I would like to see why in my notes, so that I understand what that person was thinking prior to somebody coming here tonight and catching me off guard. I mean, I saw the numbers, but I don't know what that employee is thinking, so I have no defense to the gentleman or a woman or whoever else may be up there one day. So when we have these things, I think I asked for it when we had our side meetings, an explanation of why they're ranking somebody the way they do, instead of just a number, because a 2.5 or an 18, I don't know how they come about that, but if I have some rationale from the members, it would help me tremendously.
If I may, I strongly agree with you, Vice Mayor. Absolutely, none of the personnel should have been writing with any of the vendors during the process of the solicitation. But this is the first I've heard about it, so definitely I'm going to go ahead and pursue that and find out actually what was going on. In addition, your second point, the actual written tabulations does have the reviewer's comments scribbled on the bottom. And that was, I think, provided on a CD. But in the future, I'm going to make sure on the clear tabulation, there's one that says a really nice spreadsheet. We'll go ahead and add any particular comments on the bottom as required.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like, Richard, how can, do I need to formulate a motion to pull the 2 years off of that, the 2 additional option years? What do we do?
Yes, what you would do is you'd have an amendment, there's a motion on the floor to move this ahead. You'd have an amendment to that motion, and which would be eliminate the extension period, so it's just a 1-year contract.
As Richard just stated.
Wait a second.
Yep. Yes, please.
So if we do this, we're setting precedent so that all contracts will be that way? I just want to be clear.
I would just caution you on that, because in some cases, if you do only 1 year, it will cost the city more in the long run. So it really depends on the size of the contract. It depends on a whole lot of things. So it is. There are some cases where the prices come high.
And Mayor, if I may, just one more
Sure.
question. So as of right now, because I remember all this coming down a few years ago with the landscaping contract.
Correct.
And that was really bad. It was a bad situation. And all of you are shaking your head. So I have no problem with this, but I think I'd like to do it individually, although we will have people who will come to us and say, well, you gave them a 1 year and you gave them a 3 year, whatever. So I just, caution that we are going to have to deal with that. But I agree that in this case, and I know it was on the disc, with some comments, but I agree with Mr. Burgess that it's so much, we've just come back-to-back meetings here. So if we have it in front of us, it's, we went from studying a book yesterday to studying another book today and separating ourselves. So I think the more we have in front of us to guide us and help us make the right decisions, I think is important.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I don't get a book because I download my stuff, so that doesn't show up anywhere. So I don't have a disc that was given to me anywhere to even reference.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, so we'll take the amended motion and all, let me be roll call.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I don't remember.
Okay, so we need to vote on the amendment and then the
Second
motion.
is
Perfect. So you need to vote on the amendment and then the motion as amended.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It's for this particular contract.
Contract only.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Now on the motion as amended to move it forward with the 1 year.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Now we vote on the main motion?
You're done.
Done. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, if I could, just a brief reminder, the event is at 6:30. So
Do you want to take a recess?
It's your call.
Okay. I think we're going to take a
Do we have just a
30-minute
motion
recess?
to recess until after the Christmas tree lighting?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're back live. I'd like to ask council, with permission from council, to move up to tab 11 so we can get the school teacher home. Okay. Tab 11 here. Motion to place car 325 on council agenda. Waiver of $5,000 bond, annual Dr. Martin Luther King Parade Festival.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you. Staff report?
Mayor, New Vision of South Dade, Inc. is requesting a waiver by the mayor and council of a $5,000 bond, which is required for the holding of special events. This waiver, if granted, will not preclude the applicant from providing proof of general liability insurance. New Vision for South Dade, Inc. requests that the bond requirement be waived for this event as it was last year. Staff recommends that mayor and council approve a waiver of $5,000 bond for the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Parade Festival scheduled for January 14, 2012, beginning at 11 a.m.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Oh, I have a speech prepared. Go ahead.
Save it till
Quick question. What does CAR stand for? Council Agenda?
Community Redevelopment Agency? CRA?
CAR.
Council action for...
Okay. Real quick.
That's something I knew. Maybe you better explain that to me.
My name is Willie Brown, Jr., and I reside at 424 Southwest 11th Avenue in Homestead, Florida. This evening, I'm here tonight representing New Visions for South Dade Incorporated. I have 4 very quick points that I would like to touch upon this night. First, New Visions wishes to congratulate Mayor Bateman on his re-election, and also thank him for agreeing to serve as Grand Marshal for the upcoming 2012 MLK Parade. New Visions would also like to congratulate congratulate Miss Patricia Faircloth McCormick on her being elected to the council. You've already rescinded the $5,000 bond, and we thank you for that sincerely. Lastly, I'm inviting everyone here within the sound of my voice to attend the parade. I hope you guys have received your invitations. I know I sent them out, and we hope to see you all there. But it's not just for them. They're special people, but they're not that special. We want everybody at the parade this year, and we're hoping that you all can attend. It's on Saturday, January the 14th, beginning at 12 o'clock noon sharp. And that's all I have to say, and thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Mike, Senator.
At least not yet, not yet.
Okay, motion, let's move up to 10 so we can get the next gentleman home. Rabbi, if you'll come up, motion to place CAR number 332 on council agenda, waiver of user fees.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Staff report?
Mayor, the Chabad of Homestead and Color Bay is requesting that the city co-sponsor a menorah lighting event in Losner Park. The Chabad requests that the city waive the park usage fees for this event as it did last year. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve a waiver of usage fees for the annual public menorah lighting in the amount of $250 for the use of Losner Park on the first night of Hanukkah, Tuesday, December 20th, 2011 at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments?
I'd just like to say, if anybody out there and listening on the computer or TV land, please come. It's a beautiful event, and I haven't missed it in a long time, so thank you so much for bringing it to Homestead.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor, for everything you do for the Jewish community in Homestead. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move back to tab 6. Motion to place CAR number 324 on council agenda. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Staff report?
Mayor, the City of Homestead is required under Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968 to ensure that employment and other economic and business opportunities generated by HUD financial assistance to the greatest extent feasible are directed to public housing residents and other low-income persons. City of Homestead has prepared a Section 3 plan to communicate program requirements to businesses and outline its efforts to comply with Section 3. Staff recommends the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize City Manager to take any and all action necessary to implement the Section 3 plan.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Item carries. Thank you. Next. Tab 6, motion to place CAR 334 on council agenda, NAC Construction Incorporated change order.
I'd like to move that, Mayor.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Staff report.
Mayor, in June of 2011, NAC Construction, Inc. was awarded a contract for the improvements to Whitcott Park. During the construction process, it was noted that stucco work, tree relocation, and an additional survey will be needed in order to complete the project. These items were not included as part of the original bid. Total change order is $13,574.61. Staff recommends the Mayor and Council approve change orders to the NAC Construction, Inc. purchase order number 112041.
Mayor, if I may?
Sure.
I just want to clarify that the two trees that's in question here, those were existing trees, and they had to be moved because one was for a fence and the other one was for drainage, so it wasn't like we'd already bought the trees, put the trees in, and moved them again. They were existing trees that were already there. And as far as the stucco on the hand court, that's more or less for aesthetic reasons, beautifying the court. Am I doing a good job, Dennis?
I'm so sorry. The Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, you're correct. There's 4 trees total. They weren't caught in the survey. The survey was done in 2005. So those trees weren't showing up in there in the survey, so we ran into them problems with the fence and some sidewalk. The stucco, the plans in the bid kind of didn't show that the whole court should be done, so we split it with the contractor, so it would be $4,000 with ours.
Mayor, if I may, I just want to say that anytime there's a charge over, we want to make sure everybody understands why that happened. So, thank you, Mayor.
Just one more thing, just to let you know, this is a $1.3 million job, so, I mean, it's very minimum what we're getting change orders on.
Question to the manager, to Mr. Bria, probably is the right person to ask. I'm just curious, why was the excavation done so deep? I'm just, as a construction curiosity, I'm going like, was that bad soil or something?
One word for you, Durham.
Durham, huh?
Yeah, Durham required, basically they have requirements that we have to maintain all stormwater runoff in parks, inside the parks. They're not allowed to run over into the streets or the sidewalks, so you have to contain everything within the site itself. So it's, yeah, it looks, you know, it's ridiculous, you know, but it's there.
How many times they asked me if we're digging a pool? I had citizens say, we got a pool coming in over there. I said, no.
We tried fighting it, but it was, you know, they just go by the volume of water that we're supposed to hold there, and it's going to be dry all the time, but it's just there, you know.
Thank you so much for that answer. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Okay, tab 8, Park and Recs. Motion to place car 295 on council agenda, IT bid number 201127, landscape maintenance.
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Mayor, bid number 201127, landscape maintenance, will be for the purpose of mowing, weed eating, edging, weed control, shrub, hedge trimming, tree pruning, litter and debris control, chemical, pest control, mulch, and fertilization, of all city lots, parks, right-of-ways, medians, and alleyways. Staff recommends the Mayor and Council approve and award bid number 201127 for the citywide landscape maintenance solicitation to the lowest responsible bidder, Valley Crest Landscape Maintenance, in accordance with the updated bid tabulation as provided on Exhibit 2. This contract covers landscaping, maintenance of city lots, parks, right-of-ways, medians, and alleyways. The initial term runs from January 1st, 2011 through September 30th, 2013. Providing the successful bidder agrees to maintain the same terms and conditions, the contract could be extended for an additional 2 years on a year-to-year basis if mutually agreed upon by both parties. The total contract cost is $464,581.75 annually, which would be paid as followed. $269,831.50 would be paid by Parks and Recreation Department, and $194,750.25 would be paid by CRA.
Wow, that was a mouthful. That includes shrub replacement, all that good stuff, right, Dennis?
Yes, Mayor, you're correct. And fertilization, and also free tree trimming, and any replacement that is not caused by hurricanes.
And so we have like a regular set schedule for spraying and things like that to keep up that beautiful landscape there?
Yes, sir. They have to notify us of all their weekly schedules and daily schedules of what has to be done. And Also let you know, this contract is also going to cover during the rainy season. It's going to be, we're going to get like three times a month in mowing, so to keep the grass lower, looking nice, those 4 months. So it's going to look nice.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to compliment staff because they cut this from about 600, I'm using rough numbers, but around 600,000 to approximately 400 and so thousand. So that was just from just having to go in and negotiate and have other departments take care of other things. So I really want to compliment staff on this.
Mr. Mayor, we
Thank you.
did receive today a bid protest from another bidder on this. We've not had a chance to analyze it, but we will between now and the council meeting, and give you information on the bid protest itself. But I would anticipate that at the council meeting, that they will be represented and want to make a presentation, one of the other bidders.
And
Are you at liberty to say, was it the former operator or former?
I don't. I am at liberty to say SFM.
That's
the one who, yes.
That was the last one, Mayor? That was the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We tried. Okay, any final questions, Mr. Burgess?
No, I just want to say, you know, they are a local vendor. They're over there on East Maui, and glad to see. I mean, I've seen their work around a lot of different places, so I'm hoping that they keep up their good standards for us.
Sounds good. Anything further from council? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Tab 9, motion to place card 321 on council agenda, bid number 201137, HVAC and building maintenance control system replacement.
Move it.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Staff report?
Mayor, the aging HVAC systems at the YMCA Community Center are no longer able to meet the environmental needs of the building they serve. The proposed project will replace 9 HVAC units and install a building management control system for a total energy efficiency upgrade. The new energy-efficient HVAC systems and the building management technology will not only reduce costs, but will lower energy consumption. Staff recommends the Mayor and Council approve the award of the bid for installation of a new HVAC system, which replaces inefficient and unrepairable HVAC systems at the YMCA Community Center to the lowest, most responsive bidder, Air, Mechanical, and Services Corp. The total project cost is $1,099,000. The cost of this project is covered by a government share grant award from the United States Department of Energy in the amount of $500,000, and YMCA Community Center will cover the remainder of the cost.
Last time I looked at it, it was $500,000 for all of it. Anybody, the explanation? You know, it's $1 million to do the entire AC system over there.
Dennis?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, this $500,000 grant is only going to cover the $500,000. Once that $500,000 is spent, then YMCA picks it up. What happened, YMCA, when the bid process put on the bid their priority listing. So whatever they want done first with that $500,000 will be done. Anything else that they go past the $500,000 will be covered. They're not going to probably spend the $1 million, but that's what the cost, the bids came back for $1 million. So that's to let you know we're only liable for the $500,000 grant, which we received a while back. So we're just moving forward so we can start this.
Well, that's the $500,000 that was transferred from the new city hall over to YMCA that I keep reading about on the blog.
That was the one that Ms. Volker was working on before she left, and then she passed it on to me, so I would think that would be the one, yes, sir.
Yeah, she worked on it very hard, trying to transfer it so we wouldn't lose it, because we were going to lose the grant.
And then she told me to pass it on and get going.
Right. Have we completed the YMCA agreement? I mean, it's still up in the air, huh? Are we close?
Mayor, we're working with the YMCA. We have a telephone conference that we'll be having next week, hopefully, with the attorney's office as well as the city manager's staff. So we have all of the particulars, so we hopefully will be bringing it to you in the next month or so.
You know, that's been going on for over a year.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Way before your time.
Yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth with the issues, and we're hoping to bring it to resolution. No guarantees at this point, but I think we're headed in that direction.
I guess the reason I asked that question, as they said, was that, did we put a lot of money in the building? Of course, I'm sure the answer is yes, because we'd end up doing something with the building if they walk. Right? Okay, any questions from council? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Okay, we got 10, we got 11, 12. Motion to place car number 330 on council agenda, construction management services.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. Staff?
Mayor, this proposal covers the projected scope of work for construction management services for the city of Homestead, including project management of the Whipcops Park project and other on-site construction management projects as warranted. Construction management services work will also complete a thorough evaluation of the city's overall construction management process. Evaluation will include, but not limited to, front document review, drawing, specification analysis, site analysis, estimate development, value engineering exercises, and documentation review. Staff's recommendation, the mayor and council approve the attached resolution to authorize the city manager to accept a proposal for construction management services.
Who are they? What type of background check did we do? How did this come to to us now today?
Yeah, the name of the company is Lunacon. This is a company that we've actually used in the past, within this last year, to help us out in some particular projects regarding construction supervision, etc. They worked, for example, at the Roscoe Warren Park when we needed some emergency construction supervision there to make sure that the project would go online when it was supposed to. They also worked on the Seminole Theater cost estimate to basically narrow down the estimate of what it would take to get that theater up and running again. And that, along with now they're actually helping us with the Whitcock Park, the construction supervisions of that project. And basically, what their presence does, it helps us, particularly my department, to be able to be more visible at the sites and be more vigilant of what the contractors are doing on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, we would have to hire in-house employees to take care of that, which would be more costly in the long run, because with this type of service, we do it on an as-needed basis. So basically, that's the history of what we've done with them. Their office is just like, I guess, 4 miles north of us off of US 1 on Pinecrest. So they're readily available at all times. So that helps out also in terms of getting emergency services from them when we need to.
Well, let me ask you, who knows the most about the inspection, one of about 4 inspections I'm going to ask you about. And I did not know that this was the firm, or I would have brought my paperwork. It's on my desk. $32,000 to check Homestead Concrete's inspection, to go behind a company. And we spent $32,000 to inspect those. That is an insult. An insult. $32,000 were spent to go behind a company that we didn't trust or weren't clear on. We spent $32,000, Mr. Manager. When I looked at those numbers, I'm telling you, I've been in the construction business 31 years, and to see $32,000 spent to go inspect a job, it broke my heart. And I wish the cameras were rolling tonight. It broke my heart. And then $12,000 of where we spent $7,000 to have the same thing done on Seminole Theater. I'm going to say the total, and correct me if I'm wrong, about $70,000 worth of work so far, the inspection process. Is that not true? And correct me. I want to stand corrected.
Julio.
Regarding the money that you're talking about for the sidewalk review, basically what that wasn't going behind them. It was actually, we did a forensic analysis of what was put on the ground during basically a whole year process. So it was a whole year's worth of sidewalk improvements that were reviewed. If you look at it in terms of percentages, that the amount of invoices that came in for all that work that was inspected was over $600,000, out of which we spent on the sidewalk $24,900 in terms of inspections of that, which is well within the industry standards when you talk about construction supervision, or in this case, forensic construction services, which is what this is.
I disagree. I'm sorry. And I respect you, Julio, and I respect everything you do. I disagree. And until I can get that paperwork out and come back to this council at the council meeting and go through that with you, or prior even, I'll go through it with you. I'm not going to vote for this. Who brought this firm to Homestead? How did we find Lunacon? Who brought Lunacon to Homestead? It's a simple question.
The Lunacon, they were recommended to us.
Through the Development Service Department?
Mayor, I recommend.
You recommended
I
it.
did. Yes.
And you've used them in the past?
No, I had not used them before, no.
Okay. Well, you need to sit down with me very quickly and explain the entire $70,000, because I am very concerned, very concerned. I've carried that paperwork around for about 3 days now, trying to digest all that money. Because you can call the sidewalk project a year project, call it what you want. We had somebody monitoring that project that I understand now is fired. We had backup in our own Development Service Department and Building and Zoning Department, but yet we had to still spend over $30,000 to inspect a job. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. So, call the vote, because I'm voting no tonight, I'm telling you.
I just have a quick question through the mayor.
Yes, please.
If we spent $32,000 on this project, how much did it save us, if any?
We were overbilled by roughly $100,000 on that project.
So to spend $32,000, and it saved us close to $100,000, you're saying?
I disagree with that. I totally disagree with that statement. I totally disagree. When I understood that the bottom line was less than $10,000 after you spent 3 months and $30,000. So it's irrelevant at this point, so let's just call the vote. So I know you don't want to answer me more right now, but
I'm happy to answer any questions.
okay, you will.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
No.
The motion carried.
Motion fails. No, carries. Motion carries.
3 to 1.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Tab 13, 14. Tab 12, 13. Tab 13, motion to place car 305 on council agenda. Geographical information, GIS, interface, and mapping technology.
Move it.
Thank you. Second. Staff report.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the purchase of the GIS interface and e-mapping software, which is an upgrade for the existing Monarch supervision, control, and data acquisition system at a cost of $81,850. This software upgrade will allow the electric utility to manage the electrical distribution network with real-time telemetered information and simulated data for switching, future planning, and outage management. This will greatly reduce the time for system restoration after power outages. Open Systems International is the sole producer and provider of all Monarch systems and related services.
Questions and comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Tab 14, motion to place car 319 on council agenda, amend existing purchase order issued to the Terminal Concept Incorporated.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. Motion, staff report?
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve amending purchase order number 112657 issued to Thermal Concepts, Inc. in the amount of $22,950 by an additional $2,793.70. Thermal Concepts was awarded the bid to replace the fill and generating unit number 19's cooling tower. The bid was not presented to the council for approval as it did not meet the $25,000 threshold. During the course of the work, it became apparent that additional repairs not included in the original scope of work would be needed. The additional work required replacing portions of the tank which had rusted through and created holes in the case. This damage could not be seen until the old fill was removed.
Questions and comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Any further questions from council before we adjourn? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.